Is Anthony Eden one of the most underrated British politicians of the 20th century? His legacy is overshadowed by the Suez Crisis when he was Prime Minister of Britain. But I think he gets a bad rap. He did a very good job when he was Foreign Secretary. He was Foreign Secretary three times, 1935 to 38, 1940 to 45, and 1951 to 1955. Anthony Eden went to school at Eton, and then when the First World War broke out, he volunteered for the British Army. And during the war, he was awarded the Military Cross, and he was a brave soldier. And then in 1924, he becomes a politician, and his first speech was to attack Labour's defence policy, and this didn't go down too well in the House of Commons. In 1931, he becomes a foreign minister and strongly believes in appeasement, and he clashes with Churchill over this, but later they do become good friends. However, Anthony Eden's opinion on appeasement does change by the mid-1930s. In 1935, Anthony Eden becomes Foreign Secretary for the first time, and he starts seeing the threat of Germany and fascist Italy, and he resigns over Chamberlain's policy of becoming closer with fascist Italy, and he was angry because Italy promised not to send troops to Spain, and they did. In 1938, Neville Chamberlain announces the Munich Agreement to the House of Commons, and Anthony Eden just walks out of there in disgust, and he's angry. And then a couple of months before the Second World War, he joins the Territorial Army, but he never serves. And in 1940, he becomes Foreign Secretary again under Winston Churchill's government, and they become good working friends. Later in the war, he rejects the idea of massive deindustrialisation in Germany. One, because he knows Germany is good for the European economy, which will need to recover after the Second World War. And secondly, he knows what the Treaty of Versailles did and how it helped cause the Second World War and cause resentment. So he doesn't want that happening again. And then when we get to Yalta, he pushes for France to have a seat at the table in Berlin, and also a part of Germany after the war's ended. And this is very important because Roosevelt announces that he's going to pull troops out of Europe within a small space of time after the war ends. And Anthony Eden's thinking, well, the Russians can just sweep across Europe and take it all if the Americans are not there, because he knows the British and the French, to an extent, aren't strong enough to stand up to the Soviets on their own. In 1951, he becomes Foreign Secretary again. Then in 1955, he becomes Prime Minister, and Suez overshadows his legacy as a whole. And it's a shame, really, because he understood when appeasement was needed at the right time, when it needed to stop, and understood the threat of Italy and Germany. And he also understood the threat of the Soviet Union. And of course, on top of that, skilled diplomat and a generally good politician, and was quite well regarded.